Hi, thanks for tuning into the Health Hacks podcast. I am Dr. Jenny, and today we're going to be talking about autoimmunity, and we're talking about this as an autoimmune web. We like to describe this in practice when we counsel with patients, is that there's so many things that intertwine to make up an autoimmune profile. And actually, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this episode is because recently I've had a couple conversations with people who have been diagnosed with autoimmune conditions, and they go to whoever their primary care doctor is or specialist or whoever they've seen, and they are offered a reactionary solution to it. So, a drug for this symptom or that symptom, but really it's this understanding of all these things that contribute to it, so that if you want to unravel it, you can start with the root cause and start really making traction. So autoimmunity can be really complicated. And so just a few things that we like to talk to people about are the first one is stress. So it's like the silent saboteur. A lot of times we discount how much stress can affect and negatively impact our health. Well, if you keep your body in this stressed out state or a fight or flight state, a whole bunch of things cascade out of control. One is hormone imbalances, and that's especially true of the hormone cortisol, the stress hormone. So after a long period of time, that weakens your immune system. So then your body is more set up to start attacking its own tissues because you're not modulating your immune system properly. Another thing that we talk about are food allergies or sensitivities. So there is a difference. A lot of people confuse the two, but there are some people that have true allergies to certain foods, and a lot more people that are just sensitive and they don't tolerate certain foods very well. They can be overlooked, but very significant contributors to autoimmune disease. One of the best examples I have of this is Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is a slowdown of the thyroid for autoimmune reasons, meaning that your immune system is attacking either the thyroid gland or the transportation system for the hormones to get to the thyroid hormones to get to the rest of the body. And it's autoimmune in nature, and it causes your thyroid to slow down in a lot of cases. And one of the big wins that we have with people is getting them to cut gluten out of their diet. There was a big study done, it was in 2015, showing that was the most effective thing that you can do for Hashimoto's. It was twice as effective as the medicines that are most commonly prescribed. So it's a big deal. There's a protein in gluten, it's gliadin, that mimics what the thyroid looks like. So your body, it sees this protein in the gluten, and then it turns around and starts attacking the thyroid gland. So that's the mechanism of these. But other than that, there's some other foods, they cause chronic inflammation and all of that. And that can drive the immune system, aggravate it, make it overactive, things like that. So the gut and the food choices, that's just really huge with almost everything that we deal with, but especially when you're dealing with autoimmunity. And this leads right into the next thing that we see is digestive problems. And two of the biggies are dysbiosis and leaky gut. So dysbiosis is when you have a bacterial imbalance. You have maybe not enough of the good types of bacteria that you need, and or too much of the bacteria that is not what you want growing in your gut. And a lot of times that shows up as like IBS type symptoms. So there's some bacteria that cause diarrhea, some that cause constipation. If you have an imbalance, you can kind of go back and forth, and they go, well, we don't know what to do. It's IBS, and they put you on medicine or whatever, when really it's just like the process of reconditioning your gut is so important. And, we have a protocol that we help people go through and identify, okay, what foods are triggering this? How do we heal the gut? Because then the next thing is that leaky gut or intestinal permeability. When that lining of that gut becomes, instead of being tightly knit like it's supposed to, it's leaky, and there's more space to allow things to leak out of the gut and into the bloodstream. That includes things like toxins, undigested food, pathogens, viruses, bacteria, things like that. It can trigger systemic inflammation. It can cause your immune system, again, to ramp up, become overactive, things like that. So, in that realm, what we do is we use diet as our primary thing. We do is talk to people about what is going in the body. And then we use supplements if we need to, targeted probiotics. Sometimes they're really helpful. Sometimes people need to take a step back and look at the kind they're taking. If they have a lot of bacterial overgrowth, a probiotic actually can flare up this problem. So just strategically using things that are appropriate for the right person at the right time. And then gut healing nutrients. L-glutamine is one of our favorite. And then, of course, not introducing and eating those foods that are going to hurt the gut. The next trigger in our autoimmune web is blood sugar dysregulation. This is a big hidden reason why people get inflammation. So a lot of people overlook their blood sugar, and really, I think if you really analyze people properly, 80%, 90% of Americans would have blood sugar problems. They don't always show up because of the way that we test. We wait until somebody is diabetic or pre-diabetic to say anything, and then we react to it. But if we were to look at someone the way that we do, we run labs a certain way. We use a lot of continuous glucose meters, stuff like that. I think you would see that this is a huge problem. And what happens is your blood sugar goes up, and sugar in the blood is extremely aggravating and inflammatory to the body. It damages arteries. It causes all kinds of things. And then once it goes too high, a lot of times your body will overcompensate and produce a bunch of insulin. Then it drops real low, and you ride this ride, and that puts you in fight or flight mode. And so looking at that and working through that with people is huge. So we address this by talking about diets that have lots of fiber, healthy fats, enough protein, the right amount of carbohydrates. Not everybody is the same with that, but regardless, the complex, healthy carbohydrates are the way to go versus any kind of simple sugars, and obviously like donuts and sodas and things like that aren't good for anybody, but just helping people navigate that. So what are some tips for navigating and unpacking all of this, and helping yourself identify and address root cause issues of autoimmunity, manage stress? So deep breathing, yoga, bedtime routines, things that calm the nervous system. Another thing with that is balancing blood sugar. Those two, a lot of times people don't think about how stressful it is on your body when your blood sugar is not regulating, but that is one of the biggest reasons why people are caught up in stress mode and they can't get out of it, and they can't understand why that's happening. So a lot of people will say to us, I don't feel stressed out. Like, I don't feel like my life is stressful, but all of my testing is showing I have high levels of the stress hormone and this and that. So, looking at that together, the blood sugar roller coaster ride is a huge reason for being caught in fight or flight mode. Identifying food triggers. So we use a lot of things like an elimination diet, where we say, okay, let's rule out these things for a while, see how you do, reintroduce them, to help people identify what foods are triggering for them. It's very powerful. You can do food sensitivity testing too, but honestly, we use the elimination protocol. It works, in my opinion, very, very well, and we have great success with it. Supporting gut health. So probiotics if needed, gut healing nutrients if needed, like the L-glutamines and things like that. Mostly getting your diet right. And then if someone needs it, we do a testing. It's a great test where we map out. It's a stool test, and it maps out everything that's in your stool. And then you can specifically address, like if you have too much of one type of bacteria or not enough, or there's a virus or a bacteria in there. And then reducing your toxic exposure. So you want to pick foods that are organic. You want to have cleaning products that don't have a lot of the bleaches and the ammonias and things like that. We like the Yuka app. It's YUKA. The Environmental Working Group has an app and a lot of resources too. But just look for, gradually over time, if this is overwhelming, make small changes that work you into less toxic makeup and beauty care products and laundry detergents and cleaning stuff and all of that. And then work on prioritizing. There are some things that's more important to buy organic, things that are sprayed, like berries, etc., those kinds of things. So consider that. And then, those are the sort of pillars of that autoimmune web, the things that all weave together that can cause your body to not be able to modulate your immune system reaction properly. Maybe it flares up too much, or it doesn't ramp down when it's supposed to. And then it starts being overactive and attacking different things, whether that's the thyroid or rheumatoid arthritis or your joints or your gut. There's over 150 autoimmune conditions with a name. So there's a lot of that. We can do a test for that. That's part of our routine lab panel. Is we have some autoimmune markers on there to give people an idea when they come to see us. Sometimes they don't know that they have an autoimmune issue, but they feel terrible. And so if we see that, we can start helping them unpack this with us. So we're happy to talk to you on something called a free health discovery call. So I'll put the link to that in the description. And if you want to reach out to us, we can give you more information on that. But this was a big topic. We hope that it gives you some food for thought if that is an issue for you. And thanks for tuning in.